Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Dan. So for today's video, of course, I'll be speaking about something spooky, something from long ago. Okay, it's fairly low budget for today's standards, sure, but it's a blast from the past nonetheless. Alright, it's a scary movie, good enough for me I guess. And yes, of course, as far as I'm concerned, Halloween's a year-round thing anyway. I'll be talking about Werewolf of London. Okay, I was never really the one to be big on werewolves, but I did review quite a few werewolf type movies in the past, so just might as well talk about another one. And it's been a while since I've spoken about a werewolf movie anyway, so here we are, I reckon, because might as well, I guess. But yeah, those are so in charm when it comes to these types of movies to begin with. I This is definitely the case here. Anyway, of course, as usual, let's talk about the plot, shall we? So here we go. In this movie, let's just say that while researching this mysterious flower that purposely takes its strength from the moon, let's just say that this individual is bitten by this strange creature. And yes, obviously, this could somehow have an effect on the rest of the story, obviously. Anyway, yeah, there's this strange creature in London. And yes, our character becomes absorbed in his research of this plant and is annoyed by the appearance of this fellow scientist, whom reveals that the plant is only known, I guess, temporarily. There's like this thing for werewolves, and let's just say that our main character here remains skeptical until the next full moon, I should say. Let's just say that he does go under this crazy transformation, so to speak. And yeah, obviously, as you can think yourself, is that weird things that happen, as these movies tend to show, of course, and that's definitely a thing here. Of course, it's gonna be bizarre, of course, it's gonna be weird, and that's definitely is what happened here in this movie. And the movie, of course, does show that this movie's trying to attempt to do this whole werewolf thing. I know there's like a whole mythology around werewolves, of course. And yes, they've been doing this kind of thing for years, obviously. And this was definitely a thing in this movie. And of course, yes, I do realize way back in the day, with certain movies and whatnot, there's only certain things you're allowed to show and express because a lot of people were really uptight when it comes to what's expressed in a movie, of course. Then again, that's still kind of a thing in this day and age. But I guess these people who made this movie were trying to do their own thing when it comes to werewolf mythology, kind of a thing, of course. And that's definitely is a thing, of course. Why not? Transforming into this animal and just do his own thing, of course. And let's just say that this movie, the main action does pretty much take place in London. And yeah, our main characters just wanted to do some research, and things just don't quite go well. This film was produced by the Universal Pictures, and Werewolf in London was said to be the first full-length werewolf movie in Hollywood, so this was their first attempt to make this werewolf film, of course. And okay, that's definitely is a first attempt when it comes to werewolves and whatnot. And for what it's worth, they definitely did a pretty good job for what they were trying to aim for. I did like the makeup they use here for the werewolf on the other characters. You do have to keep in mind that this was done before CGI. So obviously, they had to work around the fact they may have a limited budget, but still, I like the makeup here. The makeup here was definitely really well done. Yes, I know I mentioned this whole thing with the plant earlier, and you had to kick off the plot some kind of way, of course. And yes, obviously, there was this whole idea where the main character was attacked and bitten by this humanoid type creature. Like I was saying, you had to kick off these stories some kind of way, and just a way to start the story off. It's pretty wild in that sense, I guess, because it's a horror movie. Of course, it's going to get kind of weird. But in the first attempt, when it comes to making these types of werewolf films, it's not it's not too shabby. It's not too bad for what they're trying to aim for. So in a lot of ways, yes, of course, this is the first attempt by Hollywood to bring the werewolf mythology to a big screen, and it's very stylized in a lot of ways. That's for sure. It's very stylized, and in the storytelling and the visuals, of course, they're trying to tell the story in such a way where it could be exciting, it could be scary and whatnot, very spooky, of course. And this definitely is a pretty good, solid attempt in which they were trying to aim for. So, like we're saying, the makeup effects, the production design was actually really good, and the camera angles are nice, of course. This was definitely produced by people who actually knew what they were doing. They actually cared about the product, their project here. So, in that regard, they actually did a really good job with the overall production. You can definitely tell that it was well shot. It was well done in a sense that they're trying to bring life to this story. We all know that films are supposed to be this visual medium, so you can use that to your advantage in ways that you can be set a mood. You can use good lighting throughout the entire thing, which they did. You can definitely use lighting as a way to set the mood, of course, which I thought they did pretty well in this one, folks. That's for sure. So altogether, they did do a good job in regards to that, I reckon, because they definitely knew what they were doing. That's for sure. It's a good script, of course. The dialogue itself isn't too bad, I suppose. The dialogue is well written enough that I'll give them the credit that they're trying to do something with the dialogue, of course. The dialogue is not too bad. Again, it doesn't feel like it was done by amateur filmmakers by any means. So, yes, you'd be surprised how people don't know that. It's like the most obvious thing. You need good dialogue for your movie. You think people would have known that, but they don't. It's kind of weird if you ask me, but there you go, I guess. Anyway, I just thought I'd just cover this for a moment because, in some ways, yes, I'm using this as an excuse to talk about horror movies, which I've done before anyway. It's definitely one of my favorite genres, quite obviously. And like I've often said, as far as I'm concerned, Halloween is a year-round thing anyway to begin with, of course. But yeah, I know that may seem weird to a lot of people out there, but I don't care. It's my channel. I do what I want. If I want to talk about spooky stories, I'm going to. But this definitely was something I can definitely recommend, especially if you want to see like one of the earliest attempts at a horror movie featuring a werewolf. Sure, why not? This is definitely something I can say is worth the watch. And like I was saying before, I haven't talked about a werewolf movie in a while to begin with, so this seemed like a good idea to do so, of course. But all in all, I did like what they were trying to aim for. I like the acting. Yes, a horror movie with good acting. What do you know? So yes, the acting here was actually quite solid in the grand scheme of things. Of course, at least I thought so anyway. But yes, I just thought I would just cover this. Might as well, I guess, because I like spooky movies. I sure do. Can't get enough of them. But anyway, I just thought I was just talk about this because I'm always in the spirit to talk about spooky movies. It doesn't matter what month it is. I'm always in the mood to talk about spooky movies. Because I'm trying to fit it in some kind of fashion, of course, and whatnot. I mean, yes, okay, a lot of people out there may not want to watch this just because it's old, which is a shame when you think about it. Which, yes, this is something I mentioned before. Unlike I was saying, the acting is actually quite nice here. The acting here is quite good. Really, at the end of the day, the acting isn't too shabby, I suppose. So I did like what they were trying to gain for the even for the acting. Obviously, the actors and actresses actually did a pretty good job in the grand scheme of things, of course, because I did like what they were trying to aim for when it comes to the acting. Because I'm trying to give them some credit for some solid acting because looks like some of the things that people don't really seem to recognize when it comes to horror movies, I guess overlooked quite a bit. It's unfortunate, because these types of movies can have good acting, which this clearly does. When you think about it. Anyway, I would say I definitely recommend this movie, like I was saying before, if you like werewolf stuff. Anyhow, I'll give this film an overall rating of a 7.4 out of 10. It gets a 7.4 out of 10 for me. So, of course, as always, thanks for watching and take care. Until next time, see ya. Oh, yeah, later.